what we're trying to say is, am I loved? Am I enough? Am I good enough for you?
Yeah.
That's what we're really trying to say.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to walk up to you at fucking Westy Wednesday and be like, am I enough? Do you love me? Am I lovable? Nobody's going to ask you that.
And are you
really
asking, but you're asking yourself that too, like.
Yeah, and so I think when we complain about ourselves, if you really, go through the ratatouille layers, it's layers of
slices.
yeah. So once you get
yeah.
through, I think you'll eventually end up at a place like that.
Hopefully.
Generally, is people are when they're complaining about themselves, really what they're saying is,
validate me.
please
tell me
validate
I'm wrong.
Please validate me.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Please tell me I'm wrong because I have insecurities. And that's a really beautiful thing to ask somebody, actually, right? Like, am I actually enough? Am I good enough to be on this dance floor?
You are enough.
And if the answer is yes, then man, that feels really good. But we keep it on a very surface level.
And we should be more okay with asking for validation.
Yeah. I think it's okay.
I do still struggle with that. Like I was yesterday I had a friend like say to me after a difficult conversation, like, what can I do? And I was like, honestly, I am going to ask them for some validation in the future. Like, I'm going to ask for some honest validation. And you should be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard, but...
Yeah, makes you real vulnerable.
Makes
you very vulnerable.
Because you're afraid that they're going to be like, I've been lying to you this whole time, you do suck.
Yeah, but, I mean, let's just say that's the case, right?
It's totally the case.
Let's just say that's the case, and we're making all these under-the-table deals where we're saying, I'm going to complain and you're going to tell me I'm wrong, and we're going to play this game under the table, rather than just putting my cards on the table and saying, Aris, what do you think? And you're like, well, you kind of suck. And be like, well, these are my cards. I'm going to be happy with my cards, and I'm going to do the best I have with the hand.
Well, that's the thing, too, because you can ask for more. You can be like, hey, tell me God's honest truth about how much I suck, but... like, I would like some validation here, and I would like you to tell me what you like about my dancing as well. That should be okay to ask that whole question.
I think that's a great way to go into private lessons, too, actually.
Yes.
To be like, what are the things that you really like about what I'm doing here? What are and literally walking into it with that way and then concluding with it that way.
I try to do that, and it's not always possible with the way, no, I can't always communicate that.
No.
Because
they go in so many different directions.
But it's like, I try not to be like, this is wrong. It's like, here's a reason to do this a different way. Here's where things are cool. So I watched Ben Moore's put a video on his Instagram once of him like it was Kyrie and it was Katie Smiley dancing, and he was like videoing them, and he was just like cheering the shit out of them the entire time. He was like, that was like only the most positive things. And I saw that, I was like, can you pay for that? I would, and I think a lot of people would pay you for a private lesson where you just do that.
Yeah.
And it is the honest, just.
I like that. That was cool. That was great. Yeah.
The entire time. That's
for me,
just an hour of Ben Moore's telling you.
I think people at this point would pay for me not to do that.
Yes.
I pity the fool that gives me their phone and doesn't know what I'm about to do. And they're like, can you video me? I'm like, ha 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 ha.
It's
I mean, you have videos.
I do.
Yeah.
I
now you have.
And
now you know what I sound like.
I shared them with like 1 or 2 people, and it was like, oh my god, that is like, it's not even like it's your running commentary, it's your headspace. It's not even like you're not even cheering them on. Like you can hear, whoever watched the video can hear in your head how fucking awesome you think that thing was, and that's very special.
It's annoying, and I'm okay with that. I'm definitely okay with that. While I was watching the video, I was like, wow. That's a lot. That's a little cringe. It's a little cringe.
No,
I'm okay with it.
It's like the being in love romantically thing. Like it should be gross. It should absolutely be.
It should be pretty disgusting and
revolting to everyone else.
What's the word? Not unforgiving. Like unapologetic.
Yes.
It should be
unapologetically
unapologetic.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
With your positivity for people's dance.
Yeah. I like that.
And it's a hard thing to switch your mind into that mode, coming from all those other struggles. But even just bringing up the idea of like, hey, I should try to be unapologetically, disgustingly positive about this person's dance right now. Like, that's a cool entry point for a lot of other healthy things. Mm-hmm. Especially if you don't like their dancing.
Well, There was one that came to mind. I think you and Rachel danced once, and you were just kind of reacquainting or something. And then you were adjusting a lot, and then she was adjusting a lot, and
Oh, yeah,
half
yeah.
of the
Oh,
things
yeah.
that and then half of the time where I was like, nice, like that was great. It was actually when one of you would either make a mistake or adjust in a way that the other person wasn't ready for, and then you both adjusted for each other, and then I was like, oh, that was really good. And I think it really does help to be grateful for every,
Yeah.
for every.
It's a beep beep Bob Ross.
Yeah.
Happy little accidents.
Like
Everything's a happy little accident.
You're not gonna get to where you want to be without being grateful for what, like. Do you really think Jordan got that good with, like, he started off with a perfect 2? Like, your 2 sucks.
I think he came out of the womb with a perfect 2, honestly.
He didn't. He just didn't. For whatever reason, he didn't.
There are
You don't
genetic
want his
advantages.
path
There
or
are
his
genetic
journey or his
advantages.
body.
There are genetic advantages. He's left-handed. That's a big advantage.
Really? That's so cool. I didn't know that.
I thought
He's left-handed, living in a right-handed world, but then he
but
found a
weird.
left-hand top in
Yes.
his sport.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the key.
And I've been meaning to make like a funny video about it where it's like I'm brushing my teeth and there's like a picture of like him and Todd like on the mirror, just like, like in training montage thing. You look at that and it's like, switch the toothbrush to my left hand. I'm like, that's right.
Mm-hmm. But even if I wanted to look more like him or something,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I'm not spending enough time pushing off of my 2 and onto my 3, for instance. If I didn't have that issue and it wasn't brought to my attention, even though it's rough hearing about it, it wouldn't get me to ultimately where I want to go. So when I was talking before about how it is important to look at all of your mistakes or the things that suck and like come to love them, it's something that helps me out a lot. I'm like, oh, that is going to get me to where I want to go. And I don't really want to, where I want to go isn't becoming Jordan Frisbee and like slithering inside his skin and dancing like him.
That's a horrifying visual, but cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of it is that like, if you do want to change something, I think something that will really help is having the grace to be truly honest about it. Like,
Well,
let's
that's
talk
really
about
hard.
the 2. Let's talk about the 2. Because at some point, if you do want to change it, you do need to be that honest.
There's nothing
Because like she heard the truck.
abrupt happening. Okay.
She heard the truck. It was abrupt for her for years. Because it's like, you know what, I would like to change my 2 to look more like that. Cool. We don't even question the motives. Like visually, aesthetically, you like it, it inspired you, it brought you into the dance. Awesome. I want to look a little more like that. What's the adjustment? Here's the adjustment, and like that's it. It doesn't have to be I suck. It doesn't have to be I'm doing it wrong. It doesn't have to be any of that.
Yeah. Yeah. It becomes really easy to attach. Yeah, we talked a lot about like self-worth to certain things in your dance.
Yes.
It
The
becomes
discussion. I
really,
don't even know if
really
anyone is or
easy.
will watch this, but like it's the problem with the added problem of attaching your self-worth to things in your dance is when you have that dichotomy of like, I suck, but when you hold on to like, I'm still totally better than all these other people for this reason, right? Let's say it's my musicality, right?
Yeah.
Because people do end up there. So it's like, I'm like, I am shit, and my dance is shit, but my musicality is so good, and then you can't give me any feedback on my musicality without me feeling like you are just crushing my life because that's all I have.
The way I put it is everybody loses in the comparison game.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone will lose, even the person that is better than you. If you're comparing yourself to them, especially if it's a friend, especially if it's any sort
An
of
enemy,
even
a frenemy,
a frenemy, whatever it is, everybody's going to lose. When you put somebody on a pedestal like that, you're putting yourself beneath them and you're putting them up, and then that
But
puts
that's what
them in
it
this
is.
weird
People look
situation.
at the stats sheet that way. It's like,
Oh.
why didn't I make finals? Because my 2 is so much better than this other person's, right? And you ignore all the other things, right? But that's because you put this on a pedestal, but then everything else is actually on a pedestal too, right? You need to look at it that way. And they're just different heights, and different people care about different heights. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think it definitely compounds it that in the end, like I was saying, you are just a human being making your body look like music. But then we've contrived.
We're having a conversation about what the music looks like.
Yeah, and we've contrived this competitive system where you have 5 experts saying you are not as good as the rest of these people. It does make it hard.
This
I-
person
it's a-
here is better than you are here.
It's a very contrived system. If you look at this from like a very philosophical, universal perspective, like
It's
very,
kind of the
very,
worst
very
timeline.
It's kind of, I think it's the best timeline because it does offer us so many opportunities for reflection and bringing it full circle
And not
to
just
love
crying in the
yourself.
mirror.
Yeah, I mean, this is you can look at it in a million different ways. The one that I've come to is like, this is the call to love yourself and know that you are enough and that you belong. And if I
That is
feel
a
like
good silver
I'm
lining,
going
too.
to treat competition like this, is yes, I know I'm jumping into something that's completely contrived.
Mm.
This isn't real. We're all making this up and we agreed to make it up together. Great, cool.
Yeah, who's like
this-
this anyway thing.
Essentially what this is the suspension of disbelief. Like you have to believe that this is a system that works and like blah, 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 blah.
I think that's what it is too, because so many, even from the very best champions and professionals, like the Brandy thing where she says you can only control what you wear on game day. I do think,
Yeah.
sorry, Brandy, the problem with that is that we're still buying into the system, and it's like if you're gonna be in the system and be happy about it, you kind of need to just not believe in it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, because if you
I
are,
think it's subverting it.
yes,
Like, you gotta
need to-
subvert it.
You gotta
somehow.
subvert it to do it healthily, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think almost everyone who's doing it is still buying into that there's some value in X, Y, Z.
I think, yes, and that's why, for me, it's pretty useful to say, this is my, this is a calling for me to accept my own self-worth as something that is worthy and I belong here. So in
And
the
being
end,
grateful for the challenge and knowing that you couldn't have made yourself look at it that way or challenge yourself to change that if you weren't in this extremely tough situation.
exactly. So it's a great opportunity to do that. On a more surface level, really, I just kind of like the pressure and the rush of it. In the end, I just kind of like,
Those
You
of us
know,
who are
life gets
competitive,
boring.
those of
Yeah.
us who are competitive, it's nice, it's fun.
fun.
And the different formats are fun. Like I was like co-op mode versus like it's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Like
it's
strictly
co-op
playing
mode.
co-op.
Oh,
Like come on, that's awesome.
It's so much
It's
fun.
really cool.
Oh,
It's the split
it's-
screen video, like in
it's
high
the split
school
screen,
with the
but you're doing
Xbox.
it.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
much fun. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity. That's why that's why climbing or dancing for me are so cool. Like it provides me the challenge that I want to become a better person. It can be done that way, but I think the opportunities that
And it's becoming the
Performance
better
of-
person part versus the becoming better at however you measure the thing.
and that's where I was going. Is like the conversation. What did I call them? The conversation archetypes. Right? Like you have a blueprint for the conversation,
Yes.
and if you walk around the room, you can
Like we're
pretty
just
much
reading off the
call
script.
out.
We're reading off the script here.
Yeah,
This
you
is
can
the
pretty
script.
much be like, oh, they're having that one, they're having that one, they're having that one. Which isn't to be too cynical. It's more to say, one, maybe we can be more conscious about the way we talk about ourselves and other people when it comes to dance topics. But two, it's most of those conversations revolve around hating yourself or others. And I think like if you really boil it down,
I'm just hating everyone.
just kind of fucking hating people. And I think there's the opportunities to just not like yourself are so prevalent
Why are we looking
in
for
West
that?
Coast.
Why are we looking for that? We have found so many of them here, but why are we looking in the first place?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Because
I
we
know.
were saying that thing about like the so it's like with the unhealthy romantic relationship cycle, and it's like you are looking for people who replicate the trauma that your parents gave you, essentially. Like
Oh.
Yeah,
this
but
one's
it's
rough.
like West Coast swing and the way we look at it, especially thanks to competition, is like it's giving us that. It is giving us the nice, familiar, fuzzy feeling of hating ourselves.
and
and
those
others.
rare moments where you win.
It's like
Yeah.
we can change that. We can change that ratio.
We can probably change that ratio without a whole bunch of work.
Yeah, it's just working smarter. Really, it's not that hard.
It's working
And
smarter.
I think I would have liked to feel that it's harder than it is for a very long time.
Mhm.
And I mean, some part of it is you do need to like go to therapy and figure some shit out for this even to be possible. But
all of us
all of us.
collectively.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
what if we had a
Together,
collective
one
community
therapy,
group
yeah.
therapy session? That'd be great.
we've had some of those at some events.
Oh,
It's
really?
not like officially, but like the Wine Coast swing thing, like that turns into
Oh,
some
that's
really
really cute.
therapy. Yeah.
That's really cute.
I like it, and I think honestly, like more round tables like that would just be so, especially in local communities. It's like let's all get on the giant beanbag chairs around a fire in someone's backyard and just
Sing Kumbaya.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because even trying to do it is going to help a lot of things, and getting like it, doing the AA thing, like hi Nick, I'm Nick and I hate my dance.
I hate
Nick.
I'm Nick and I hate mine too.
Hi Nick.
Hi, Nick.
Because getting that, especially in a local community that you know when you're friends with some of the people, like it's getting that validation you're seeking of like, tell me I don't suck because I'm telling you that I do suck is that like you can just straight up get it there from a lot of people at the same time. I think that would be very healing, for lack of a better, a less
That'd be nice.
I'm gazing at crystals.
Yeah. I mean, I would actually like to tell people more often how much I enjoy dancing with them.
Ellen, what was the shout out to Ellen? Ellen Dudley, we love dancing with you. Nick thinks you might not know that.
You might not know that.
Mm.
You're brilliant. Fantastic. Always fun. Have always been fun.
Yeah.
And you might be telepathic. She might be telepathic.
Then she got the message already.
Yeah. She probably already has a message.
She has the message.
She knows.
It's there was a character in a fantasy book that I was reading, like anything written, she knows and understands automatically. So
Anything out there.
anything written by
anything.
humans,
And
like
she
just our
is-
entire history, every library, every magic.
And she
magic
is the
system.
encyclopedia of all human thought.
The archive, yes. So it's like
That's kinda
so when she's in trouble, you can write something. She'll get that message right away. She'll know that you're coming to help because you wrote it down on that sticky note.
Huh.
It's kind of cool.
I
don't know where
think
that came to mind.
Ellen and Lizzie could probably do the magic trick where they they'll write down what I was going to say. Have you ever seen that one?
I have.
They could do the whole thing. They're like,
My
and
dad
then-
was a performing magician actually. Does a lot of those things.
Yeah, so I'm sure that either one of them
What
could
is
do
it
that.
called? Cold reading, or is that something else?
I don't know. It's where
No,
they.
cold reading is where you tell something about someone, like magically, supposedly. Like
Yeah.
you didn't shower, get straight covered.
That is their.
Yeah.
I think their magic trick would be. Nick starts out with like this dance will start out with a epic dip into a ride.
Like they'll finish
And
your
then
sentence.
they
like,
will know what I'm gonna do the whole dance, and then they'll give me the letter from their back
Right.
pocket, and then they'll.
I knew this was all
and
gonna
then-
happen.
And
yes.
then he did a throw
Right.
into a dip at the phrase change, like,
Is this your card?
and then they'll be like,
Yeah.
here, I wrote this yesterday, and it's time stamped by like a notary or something for like 2 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
I think
Nick,
either
is
one
this
of
your
them could do
card?
that.
It's a
I'd be
Maxence
like,
move. Yeah.
that would be funny.
And then he did another Maxence move. Like
Gabi and I came up with a kind of fun game to guess the pattern that the person, or guess what the person was going to do.
Ooh.
And we did it for a night, and it was
So like
very
you have
fun.
to pause the video and guess, and then you take a shot if you.
Live. We did it. We said, fuck it, we're doing it live. And I would say that we were right 1 out of 4 times.
I think, I mean, because I guess this is something about me. I'm immediately gamifying it. I'm like, so if you're watching a dance video and you pause it and you're like, what are they gonna do next? And everyone votes, and then you take a shot. If you get it wrong, that would be so much fun.
That would be a really fun game to do on a game night at the Open with a, do you know Kahoot? Do you know what Kahoot is?
I should know. I've played it, but I don't remember what it's like.
It would be hard to do this unless somebody had seen all the videos and knows all the answers first. But everybody has a remote, which is their phone, and then you log into the Kahoot.
Yeah, I have played it.
Yeah, the main player like puts up like, okay, Ben Morris and Alyssa Glanville, Jack and Jill. It's 5 counts from the hit. What's gonna happen? And then like, you have to be kind of general because it's like a dip, or is it?
Yeah.
Are they gonna blow
Or like
past
pick
it?
one of these categories.
Pick one of these categories, sort of thing. When we first tried to do
I
it,
feel like if
we were
you
being
pick-
too specific.
I feel like if you picked they're gonna blow past it, you really wanted to get drunk that night. But
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
I like the idea. That's really fun.
It's a fun
I
one.
think that's really.
It'd be a fun
I feel
game
like there's
night.
not like I don't know I feel like when I started there was more like we are gonna watch these dance videos as a group, like in a hangout as a community, and I don't know, maybe it's where we are, or maybe it's the years, or I haven't done that in a while. I'd
Oh,
like
it's
to
fun.
do that.
It's
Put it all up
fun.
on the big screen. We're all gonna watch together, and like it's not like we're watching the Open like the performances. It's like let's just pick this cool video and watch it, and it's not just playing in the background of a hangout or a practice. It's like we're watching it and we're like doing something fun with it. Like, yeah.
I think, oh yeah, watching the best of the best. There's something, like it does bring out something terrible in people though.
Oh yeah, like
Me
have you
too,
seen,
myself included,
have you seen
absolutely.
have you seen the meme I made about like, it's the one where it's like, Grant Gustin is standing next to the like the grave site. He's like smiling with a thumbs up. So it's like this is everyone right after Champs, Jack, and Jill. That's West Coast Swing, like buried dead in the
God,
ground.
that
Like
was
yes,
so good.
yeah. And Casey was like, "That's one of my favorite traditions." I was like, "I do value it. Like I do value it a great deal."
Just
It's-
destroying,
We're all gonna try to do what we just saw. It's like some
Oh,
people are gonna
yeah.
go back to the rooms and get drunk, or like sleep with each other, or just sleep.
Or just
But the rest of us, it's midnight. It's right after
We're
Champs,
here to
Jack, and Jill.
slaughter. We
We're
are
about to
here
kill
to-
West Coast Swing
I
right here on
love
the
how,
floor.
oh yeah, all the novices,
No swing
intermediates,
was found here. Oh yes.
and
Yeah,
we get on
are
the
rolling
floor, and when you make eye contact with somebody else who's like an intermediate for me or like novice, we're like, we're not gonna do fucking West Coast Swing right now. You know this, like we both know this shit.
we
Oh, I
have
love
telepathically signed on that there will be no swing done in this game.
That's what Dimitri, so I danced with Dimitri one time, and it was right after a performance. And then I think him and I were the first dance, and as we get on the floor, he's like, shit's about to get weird. And I was like,
I love that.
It was
It's really
really
cool.
funny.
Yeah.
He was very funny.
He's like, I'm about to replicate what I just did in the spotlight
Oh,
on
yeah.
you. You're gonna love it.
He was like, basically,
you're
just,
gonna die, but you're gonna
yeah,
love it.
he's like, you be the flagpole. I was like, cool.
I can do
I got them. And it was awesome. It was very fun. It was a weird ass song, and he was very weird. I tried. Yeah. I like destroying West Coast Swing after Champs.
There's a certain I think there's a certain percentage ratio of every weekend convention where it's like, come on.
Yeah.
This is
And at TAP, most people were inebriated, I would say. Like over 50%.
that's the thing that happens there, yes.
It was very party-like
It's
vibe.
called the after party.
Yeah.
And it's 4 a.m. and the Europeans are giving you no floor space. Like
Wow. Yeah.
I love the event so much.
It was my favorite event. There were a couple people that went who
Because
were
you've been
like,
to like I always
Oh,
forget how many
yeah.
you've been to before that. But that's
a few.
a big one. And for the people, because there were a few people in our community who went and it was their very first event, like I'm sorry, it's all downhill from here. Except for Jack and Jill,
Yeah.
that one's gonna be a good. Like I said, you should go to that just because it's like it's not just about like the staff or the competitions or the events or the layout. Like because of the things they do there, the feeling is different than any place else. Love it or hate it, 'cause some people do hate it. Like the team thing and the loud cheering thing, like some people just don't like it. It's like, well,
Yeah.
you don't have to go, but
Yeah.
or you can wear the earplugs they hand out at the door. Like,
Yeah, I know that.
I mean, everyone should do that.
Talia basically said one time, like, yeah, go to TAP. It's like, yes, it's extremely competitive atmosphere, but go to fuck around and learn. Was
Go to fuck around and find out.
She said, go to fuck around and find out,
Yeah.
basically. She's like, it's the place to learn and a place to social dance. You're going to end up with the best dancers in the world there, but it's not necessarily a competitive place to be.
Because that's where you want, like,
That's where you want it.
like if you're trying to get better by social, in certain aspects, if you're trying to get better by social dancing, you do need like that space to screw up with someone who knows what they're doing, and
Yeah.
you figure things out from there, whether it's West Coast or not.
I got better there. Like, I could say I got better.
I didn't ask you this actually, but did you have a dip in skill after you came back? Like, did you hit that trough?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like the
I
first night
left
back was
TAP
that shit?
the
or-
worst. And I basically I showed up. I didn't basically. I definitely showed up to Elevate. I showed up to the local dance that night, and
Yeah, the Saturday after.
almost
yeah,
everybody
yeah.
bailed because we were all very swung over. And my sugar push was step, step, hold, push, stand. That was my whole sugar push. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then I did try to do things, and my body didn't like that. I was like, nah, I'm good. Everything was a little off time, a little funky, so I just.
I like that part of an event
simple
where
stuff.
it's like Saturday night at like 5:30 in the morning,
Hmm.
and everyone's kind of like getting in sync with each other,
Mm.
and we're all evolving/devolving together as a group. Like
Yeah.
everyone's just kind of getting more on the same page, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like regardless of level you're out on the floor, and there's 200 people or whatever, and they're all like just kind of becoming more one mass.
Mhm.
Amoeba. Pumpkin, you're gonna knock the phone over. Also, that food is not for you. Hey,
Sundays are my favorite, always and forever. Every event I've been to.
I've
the
been to
Sunday
so
dance
I've
is
been
my
to so
favorite.
few Sunday nights because I was always driving back from California.
Oh, that makes sense.
So it's very rare that I get to do a Sunday night.
I can't tell if it's just the energy that I'm bringing to the table or if it is a collective energy. It's one of those where I'm not really sure. But
That's a good
Sunday
place to be,
is
though.
always the best for me. I think we were getting into this with me talking about, it was a Sunday night, it was at swing time, it was Rachel and I in a room full of champs after midnight.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the darkest moment I ever had. I was like, I already struggle asking people to dance, and then all these people are champs. And
It sounded like this was like a room, like a hotel room or a room party. Was this like a small, like a side ballroom thing?
it was the side ballroom. It was the only
Like the
one
people
open.
who were left, yeah.
Yeah, it was everyone who was left, and there were very few of us that were not at that level. And it was a rough go, but I don't know exactly where
Like
I was
what's
going with
the
that
what's
one.
the yeah, I don't know where you were.
We got into this conversation about self-hatred,
Yeah, but like
and
what's
Rachel
the fear?
was like,
Is it that you ask them and they'll say no, or that you ask them and they judge you, or you ask them and they think you suck? Or
that's a good place to go with it.
like what is the worst case scenario? Like really?
Just
Other
a-
than you drop them and they like get hurt or something. Take that out of it.
That's not even the worst case in my opinion. Like,
That is the worst.
I don't
That
know.
ankle is worth a million. Like, you know,
It's
don't
worth-
screw. Yeah.
Yeah, that's your job.
Yeah.
Be good at dancing. I was circling back because it was an amazing Sunday dance, and it started off with the highest level of self-hatred I've had in a very long time, and you know, my dad, like Rachel, I was like, fly, you fools, and she was like, no, you're not gonna do this, you idiot, and like pulled me up.
That's what they should have done.
That's
let
what
him
they should
fall.
have done, but he did, but because he did fall, we can't forget.
She helped you kill the ball rock together.
Yes. She probably would have jumped off with me, but she didn't. And so then we go back and have a wonderful night. Fantastic. Very fun. But going full circle and coming back to that place of self-love was really important. But to answer your question, what is the worst thing that can happen? I think it comes back to getting confirmation that I'm not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm in a spot where I already...
Like getting it from someone else who you really want them to say you're wrong when you say it.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think the self-hatred thing is like, I don't know, it's like, I almost picture it as somebody selling me drugs out of a trench coat. It's like, fine, I'll do it. And then
Self-hatred?
yeah, and I'm like, fine, now I'm in it. Grr. And then it takes me going full circle to get back to a different
Oh yeah, it's just like
point of view.
the chance, the opportunity, like it's like a fuck it, I'm not gonna try not to do it type
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
almost cathartic.
Yeah.
And that's the worst thing that can happen is them just saying, yeah, you're not good enough to dance with. Yeah, that would be, and then
That's a
even
nightmare.
in that scenario, like I don't think I would really care that much in the end.
You
But the
imagining
fear
this,
of it is
you
so much
imagining
worse
you
than-
imagining the scenario is worse than actually getting
Yeah,
it.
or me getting a sense that they don't like me. Yeah.
Well, that's different, but yeah. And I mean, it's different in the lesson setting too. But it's like when someone tells you like this is bad, right? Like this, you are doing this and it is bad. It's still like, and I know that everyone responds differently, and some people take it really hard, and some people are very upset by that because for them that is that nightmare of yours, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where I was going with that either, but it's different when you've asked for it, when you're paying for it. Not that it should be that. Not that it should be like, I'm paying you to tell me how I suck. Like I don't agree with that view of lessons in education that people.
That goes down its own little wormhole too, though, because it depends on your relationship. Like,
Yeah.
if it were a friend who I've worked with a lot, if it were you or Dion or like
I mean, I was-
Tara or
I was
something,
just
and they were
saying
like,
for
"Hey,
your
that's
own-
like if we were just dancing and Dion were like, yeah, that's bad." I'd be like,
And
"That's
not in a good
really
way.
and not in a good way." I'd be like, "Okay, that's funny." It's like a friend just being honest and be like, "Yeah, that's bad." But I also understand the context and who the
That's the
person
space.
is.
The space is important.
you
I was
know,
talking.
like-
I was talking more about the self-hatred thing there, but like, I was
okay,
like,
I get what you're saying.
and you told me my connection's bad. I am now going to self-flagellate for 2 years, and I didn't do that, which was good. But like again, some people do, but I think it's more about the yeah, like you said, if the space is a certain way, we can be like, yeah, that was really bad. Like, and I think that's a good way to look at bad things. Because like sometimes you can't, sometimes things aren't just a happy little accident. Sometimes things aren't just a happy little accident.
Yeah.
But when they're not, it is usually kind of funny. It's like, wow, how did you make that choice? Like you had to try to screw that up.
So
like or whatever.
Rachel's like just become a different person over the last year, and one of my favorite things about her recently is like she's trying to get better in climbing and dancing, both very, very difficult things to get good at. Very different.
Two big buckets.
Two very big buckets. And the one thing she's done better than anyone else I know is approach failure with a sense of humor, like reflexively, and being okay with it, being okay with just how bad it is, and then seeing all of her options and generally choosing humor. It's like, okay, I do have, like, these are all my tools at the moment.
And it feels very authentic too. Like, if it is a choice, it is a choice for something that is true. And I didn't know her before this, obviously, because I only met you guys, well, I met you before, but I only met her this summer.
Yeah.
But that's always actually stood out to me. Like, there's something, whenever any little thing goes wrong, it's like, this is now funny, and you know, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important, and like that was really important for me at TAP, and just making fun of the fact that I did a spotlight completely off time, was really funny. Like that is funny, and the fact that like I could see it.
As long as you weren't right in front of the camera on the official video like I was.
Oh, I was like the official like it's there.
That's true.
It's hilarious. It's a spotlight, and we all got our own video, and I was so off time. I couldn't even get out of semis and novice, and then I'm up against these, you know, essentially, they were really good. And it was,
They weren't from around here.
They weren't from around here. And I think it was hilarious. I could have taken it in multiple ways, and I think it was very funny.
And this is only funny.
But I got that from Rachel, I think. Like, I think I got that from her.
That's really
just because she's changed her. Maybe life has been so hard. I don't. She would have to tell you, but so she's like, yeah, like I could, as you would say, just shoot myself in the foot for 2 years, which is very like she could. She's like, or I could say fuck it and laugh a little bit.
Yeah. And I mean, what's again only a little bit funny from our standpoint is somewhere someone is just dragging themselves over the hot coals because you were off time and placed higher than they did.
Yep.
Yeah.
They all know it. They all saw it.
It's a little funny, and I mean, it's kind of a laugh at their expense, but it's also like you can't look at it that way, as we were saying. So, but it's funny to be stuck there because, like, you know that, yeah, that's not a great situation.
But she does a good job. I think that we can all have our own coping mechanisms, and I think she chose very wisely. Go through the experience. It's not like she isn't going through the experience. She can tell you on her own like what they are like, you know, even within a climbing session or within a dance weekend or even just even a social locally. You know, she can ride the wave, and she has really rough goes. So it's not like she's denying that it's happening. Yeah. She's more like, wow, that was so bad. And
that's important too, and
it's really cool.
I think we were talking about this the other night or morning at 4 a.m. and it was like we were coming at it from different angles because I was like, it would be real nice if you didn't get to this place. Like, let's try to change something about the way you see yourself, your dance, whatever. Like, however you need to do it. There are many like it, but this one is mine in terms of your personal dance. And you're coming at it more from the perspective of like, it will suck at times, and then how you deal with that. I think you kind of need both. Yeah, it's like in a relationship where it's like, yeah, we want to try to get along and not fight. When we do fight, because it will happen.
This is how we want to do it.
We need to do it well, whatever that means for us. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. It's like a relationship, sort of.
Dance is life, and life is dance. Yeah, because you've got a relationship with your own dance. That's kind of the one people struggle with most. And other than the partner thing,
I gotta go back. I always end up going back to the whole, why do you choose to do it? It's the same in climbing. If you want to make this about self-hatred, like, do you enjoy doing this? Do you enjoy what you're doing?
Yeah.
And
Like, we
some
get it.
people are like a stone wall, and they'll be like, most people are like, okay, I see where you're gonna go with this. I get it. Okay, I'll like snap myself out of it or say something.
Try.
Or
Yeah.
try, or they'll deflect, or because they know where I'm going. Some people will straight up get into the conversation and say like, it's fun when I don't suck. I'm like, yeah, we're not going anywhere with this. But it is a mindset.
Right,
that's
yeah,
out
it's
there.
like if I tell myself I suck 90% of the time, that 10% is gonna be so great. In which case, we're going back to the, it's breadcrumbing,
It's
kinetic
breadcrumbing.
relationships, breadcrumbing, when people strategically give you little bits of positive energy and feedback and kindness to keep you around, essentially, like that's what you're doing to yourself with that relationship with your dance. It would be nice if you didn't.
And I think that actually just is what I end up coming back to every time, which is you have been given the perfect body for your dance. Every single mistake you have is getting you to where you want to go.
Yeah, it's the angel thing.
And let's just say I'm wrong. Let's say I'm wrong on all those fronts. It's just not true. It's not going to hurt you to believe it.
Right,
It's
like,
not going to hurt to believe.
you could be objectively
like,
wrong, and the thing is, it'll make people angry if they're not at that place yet where they've like literally healed and thought these things through. Like, it could make me so mad that you believe this because it's not true. It's so not true. Why do you believe it? And you'll still be happily believing it, and it's gonna be going great for you.
It's going to be fine.
It's gonna be great.
So in
Yeah.
sum, like I think my message generally is you have arrived. You are exactly
Already here.
You are already here. It only takes waking up and
I'm already there. Take a look
reconfiguring,
around.
because we are looking at the same object, which is my dance, right? And I'm surrounded by people that are looking at it in a certain way.
It's the 4A, right?
It's the 4A.
Your dance sucks.
Yeah, my dance sucks. This phone's 2 is awful. So, but like I think the way that I see it is we're still looking at the same thing. All we gotta do is
You just gotta turn it a little bit.
because we spend so
And it
much
could be really
time-
hard, and sometimes it's impossible to turn it that direction, which is why.
But even that, it's just like I think that
Sometimes you aren't ready.
Yes,
But you can still, you can still let them know that they will be ready someday, and you can try to help them.
Mhm. The way that I see it is if I'm
Sweet.
always looking at it this way, and this is 99% of my existence,
Mm.
I can give it a break. I can give that if
What are we looking at? 90% of my-
hating my own dance.
Oh, okay,
This
yes.
is my
You
go-to.
can take a break from hating
I
it.
reflexively go to hatred. I think it's okay to put it away for a while, and I think it makes sense.
You know what I think is a great
You know?
idea? Sorry, I'm cutting you off. Go ahead.
No, I wasn't gonna finish.
I was relying on you to cut me off so I didn't have to finish that
Correct.
thought, yeah. I think it would be a great idea, like, you know how people, again, we're thinking about relationships, because this is a relationship, you and your dance. People schedule time to, like, argue, or, like, schedule time to, like, have sex, like, in the week. And that can be really good for some people. You can schedule time to not hate your dance.
My mom.
If your
yeah.
default is hating your dance, an hour on Friday afternoon, no hating your dance.
Yeah.
Not allowed. You can do it the rest of your existence.
But
We're
for
not
this
gonna hate
hour,
it now. Yes.
I would pay Ben Morris to be like, yeah, this is, I would pay
Just
Ben
cheer
Morris.
you on the whole time. Yeah.
Exactly. And we talked
I
about this
need
the other
I need to
day.
find that video. That was great.
We talked about it the other day where I had this athlete who
The
he
climber.
was
You were coaching climbing.
coaching climbing, and he was doing everything right. Right. He was
Yes,
doing
yeah.
everything that was
Well,
putting
it's
him
a
on
little
a
more-
on a
it's a
healthy
little-
path.
A little more objective, I think, there. Like, it's not objective truth, but there's a little more objectivity, I think, with things like that.
A lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you either do it or you don't.
Because you
Pass,
either
fail.
fall off the wall, or, yes, it's pass fail,
You are
and
in a
then
pass
there's
fail.
different routes in the route. It's
Mhm.
pass fail, so.
Yep. And it goes further, right? Like
You
even
can't
just
be like,
sticking
well,
a
he made it
certain-
work. He made it work. They made it work together. Like, no, he fell off the wall.
He fell. Yeah, you could say he made a move work, but like that goes into the weeds. But this guy was like, yeah, I got to this point in a lesson where I was like, your training at this point is only on your mindset. Like for the 45 minutes that we're gonna do this, because I spend an hour or two with you every week. For this lesson, for 45 minutes, you are only able to say things that you like about your climbing right now, or things that you are doing well, or things that you would like to continue, because you are spending a disproportionate amount of time focusing on this other stuff.
All of it, really.
It's all of it. Literally, you're focused on all of these other stuff. All these
And that's a
other,
good way of looking at it too. Like the I'm only going to say good things for now. I'm going to get Ben to talk me up because I've been joking about like every time you say something like self-deprecating in like the hangout practice session, you put $1 in the jar. The problem is some people like hating themselves and putting the $1 in that jar. Oh, I was so I was so bad. Like if that's the fetish, you need to get out of that. You need to get out of that range.
and it does take time.
Just say positive things.
But if you did it for an hour, I'm
gonna try to do
be
that,
willing to
shit.
bet that it would be therapeutic. I actually got that concept of like, I always think of putting it in a drawer for a little bit. It's still gonna be there, and that's fine. And I can go get it later.
Yeah.
Yep, I can get it later.
Because you know you're gone, and that's fine.
With dance, it's a lot easier than with parenting. I'll put it that way. Parenting is like dance times a million. It's brutal.
Is
The pressure of like being a single parent and doing everything perfectly, especially when I was new and I was taking care of a lot more. That's when my mom was like, dude, you've literally just spent like 3 hours on a phone hating yourself. You're gonna spend the next 5 minutes. And then I realized how nice that 5 minute that she's like, just put it in a
you're like,
drawer.
we don't have to brag from ourselves. We can actually just make this the reality. Like
You're already here.
Already
You've
here.
arrived. This is the dance that you
just need to
want
look
to
at
be
it
dancing.
differently. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm okay with a brute force approach in making yourself believe that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm absolutely
There's something
okay
to be said for
with
the blunt
forcing
object of
yourself.
positivity.
Yeah, I will bash my head in with the bat of positivity there and be like, you know what, I am okay with being
You want me to hold that for you?
Yeah, I am okay with being ruthless on that front.
Do you think that like you and your dance, do you think it's more similar to a parent-child or a romantic relationship? Because we were only using those analogies because I'm very curious because you can actually say this because like we were using those analogies of romantic relationships because that's what I know, but like kind of like looking because it's the self, your inner child thing. Like, is your dance your inner child that you need to love and take care of?
Someone I'm very close to, I had this conversation with very recently. I said, would you ever talk to, they know my son, and I said, would you ever talk to my son that way? And they were like,
In terms of how they were talking about their
absolutely.
dance.
And they were like, absolutely
That's a
not.
good
I was like, why would you ever treat somebody, you know, and it comes down to the trope. The
Yes.
trope that like,
You're gonna hate yourself even though you can love everyone else type thing.
yeah.
It's very easy.
Like, would you treat your best friend that
Yes,
way?
right. Yeah.
Whatever that one is. And it kind of comes down to that. But for me, I like the child. Like,
I think someone else who you care about, their child is a good one because something that I unfortunately discovered earlier this year is that like the reason you can start like having resentment and negative talk and just awful things creep into potentially the relationship with a life romantic partner is because you have that for yourself. And now like we're together, so self-hatred I have is going to carry over to them. So because of that, it's good that it's like it's someone else's child who you like. Like that's where we're going with this.
yeah. So I think you can think about it either way. That's why I love watching newcomers as much as I love watching champs, is because one, like, they're all in a spotlight. Like they could do an all skate and they are all spotlighting. It's so fucking awesome. I love watching newcomers
And I get
because
why
we
people
all
are
know how
uncomfortable.
hard it is and how it feels, and that empathy comes out there. But then for some reason, in the other
10 minutes later, you forget
10
it
minutes
in
later,
the
we're
next
all like,
position.
fuck
Yeah.
it. Like, whereas when you see a newcomer lead a whip on time, if they hit one phrase change,
Like,
it's
Oh yeah.
the crowd goes
Absolutely.
fucking wild.
It's why it's like it's one of those whole other tangent, but it's one of those things that like in novice you can't help but be affected by showmanship to some degree, because if one person hits that phrase change with that dip, it will change how you view the entire dance and the division, right?
I should stop being musical novice.
Well,
Uh-oh.
didn't say that, but
Yeah. I see what you're saying. The comparisons start mattering more, right? People start to compare themselves more and more and more. It becomes a little bit more toxic.
Well, like in terms of the positivity though, that was awesome, and why do you think that is? Is it like the innocence, like the purity, like it's like a kid, it's like childlike innocence, like oh, you've only been dancing 2 weeks, like
it's adorable.
Yeah.
And you're out here, you are out here doing that thing.
Mm.
You are triple stepping. There is compression,
Newcomer, I don't know.
maybe, like,
A lot of these things might not be there, but
you are doing those
yes.
steps. You are out here doing this
You're
thing.
out
You
here
are
doing the
putting
thing.
yourself out there.
you are
and
now dancing. You are a dancer. You are on the floor. You have arrived.
You have a body, therefore you are a dancer.
Mm.
And I think it's so cool that they put themselves out there. I was a newcomer once. I had a fucking blast. It was great.
And not everyone does, which,
it was
and
so
not
cool.
everyone's ready to, which is fair. But I do like that it's being encouraged. Like, I think, maybe, I want to say it was Jack and Jill around, but it was probably a different event. Like, they made like a giant, and I'm probably going to embellish this for effect because it's bigger in my head than it was, but it's like, they took a bunch of like advanced and all-star dancers and they made like an arm like pyramid and had all the newcomers like running through the floor. Like that's pretty cool.
Really
That's
cool.
pretty cool.
One of my favorite dances, and favorite meaning memorable, it means something to me, was Budapest. It was right when I was getting into dancing. 3-4 months later, I'm still combing through Budapest videos, and then I come across the
It took a
Pro-Am.
while to get through those. Oh, the Pro-Ams are so good. The pro winner, like the winning with the newcomer, yeah.
The newcomer leader gets Maria. Oh
But I
my
know
god,
the concept.
it still makes me so happy because he's out there, he's obviously doing West Coast swing and doing the thing, and she's, of course, she's monstrous, she's gorgeous, and he leads 4 whips in a row. And on the 4th one, Jordan gets out of his seat and he's like off the ground jumping. Yeah,
That's
the
great.
excitement was tangible and electric, and I wish that we could kind of keep that, not
I
to be
think that's
too
what
like,
it is. I think it's the innocence thing because it's like, I think, because we were talking about like hating yourself and dancing with pros, but it's like, I do think that not everyone, but some people a little earlier on, like when you get to dance with a pro, you're just so excited and you're like, it's so like, you can't wait. Like, oh my God, they said yes, this is going to be fantastic. And you're not going to notice you're not going to second guess and think maybe they had a sour expression for 1/2 second on my 2, which sucks. It's like we can bottle that to some extent. Like we can bring it back. We can still have that.
Yeah,
Like-
I think we
like-
can still have that.
It's like the Buddhist monk thing, or like living with childlike
That's what I was
joy.
gonna say.
Living
Yeah.
with childlike joy.
I thought it was like a Taoist thing to be like,
Yeah.
the childlike, keep being a kid.
I took care of my friend
It's
Chad's sport.
important.
That's a whole other tangent.
Yeah, I think that's important for yourself, and so yeah, as far as relationships go, whatever. I mean, whatever the fuck works at the moment, whether it's a romantic one or a childlike one. But I think it's very therapeutic to think about in that way of like, what would the child in you want to hear? Coming from a really, really like hard to overstate abusive background, where I was essentially told like you aren't enough, like, and you're not only are you not enough, but like you're less than enough, like physically, is kind of how the message came across. And so again, it's really cool to use dance as a way to be like, yeah, I'm gonna use this to prove to myself, or to reinforce that I am, or to to use it in a deeply positive, productive way. I think it can be done. It just takes, like, if there is this big contrivance that is like,
Just
let's go
making that
swing
choice
competition,
initially.
then I could have an equally big contrivance to like make this a cool thing
Oh,
for my
yeah.
fucking self.
And the thing is, I think it could be even bigger if that's not your knee-jerk reflexive reaction.
For sure.
Like if you're, because
I
like you
agree.
said, because of the way things are set up, however, we look at it, like it's very, very easy to just be like, yep, I'm gonna take the guy in the trench coat and I'm gonna be like, I hit myself. But I think just making the choice not to, and it is just a choice, but it's really hard. So just do it for the 5 minutes.
Starting off with 5 minutes would be cool. I think that would be a great
Don't like
exercise.
love
for
yourself,
most
love your
people.
dance for 5 minutes. We'll go from there.
Or even just as a,
For 1 minute, like come on.
1 minute. I want you to spend 1
You
minute.
can do 4 whips in a minute. That's
You can do 4 whips in a minute. And somebody did
and it was
at
fantastic.
Budapest,
Yes,
and Jordan got off his chair
That's
and
awesome.
into the air
That's
for it.
fantastic.
Yes, if that can happen, then you can do that for yourself. Or not even that,
Be the
but
child you want to see in the world.
pretty much. or just every time something negative comes out of, I have trouble when I'm in that spot to be accountable for what I'm saying. I feel like I have a right to say this. I have a right to be fucking asshole to myself. Um,
But you, yeah, sorry.
and
go
like
ahead.
actually being accountable for it is
But the thing is, you
being-
do.
I made a
because-
mistake. I'm going to,
Yeah.
with a kid, right? They make a
Right.
mistake. You're not going to beat them over the head. But a nice, soft, guiding way into
Yes.
what you want them to do is
The
nice.
guiding hand of it, yeah.
Oh, I
Um,
see that I was an asshole.
And I think part of it is, and this is a whole other thing, but it's like when you have the self-hatred and you try to just like stomp it out and do the opposite, that's when it gets really hard because you can't win. Because you're also invalidating your own beliefs as you do this. It's the body neutrality thing, right? It's like you can't go from hating your body to loving your body just automatically in every way
No.
because and then you get attached to that and then you can't like yeah. So it's okay that you hate your dancing, and here's why you probably hate your dancing. And now it's time to not do that for 5 minutes. Like it is
Yeah.
all those things.
It
Like
is
you need
time
to
to-
accept
yeah.
that, because then you're gonna start hating yourself for hating yourself, and that's
Yeah.
not a great road.
And I don't know. I
Do you have a
haven't
little-
I haven't taken lessons with enough people to know how much that's a factor.
What?
General attitude and approach. Like, is that really a factor when you're teaching somebody? If you walk in and you're like, this person hates himself, that's going to be a big problem. Going back to the enzyme thing, like, is the most useful thing for their dancing to hear from a coach to remove the thing that is stopping them from getting better? And if that's the case, and you can assess that and say yes, then is that something that you bring up?
I think
And say,
so.
like,
So I
you need to do
have
that.
taken lessons with a lot of people. And I think that
Oh yeah, you
most
have.
people can see it. Most people can see it, and most people on most days are going to, like we're talking about pros giving lessons, most people on most days are going to be like, you shouldn't do that to yourself. The problem is, are they going to say it in an effective way? Because sometimes it's just saying, hey, just do the opposite, stamp it out, which is not going to work. Or like, you know, like being positive in such a way that validates the arena itself, like of the competition. It's like, we're going to try to get around this negative emotion somehow, but we're still buying into the entire concept that's getting us that.
Yeah.
So I do think that, and I mean, it's like being a trainer, being a coach, for athletes, lifters, what have you. Like the pros have their hands in a lot of pies, not just overall, but just in terms of getting lessons, because you're also kind of a therapist, and you might be kind of a friend, and you know.
Yeah.
But I do think that we as teachers, but also like we for our friends can do a lot better, and maybe put a little effort into figuring out how that works. Like it's worth looking at how we can benefit the mental side of things, both in ourselves and others, and so that we're not just like, hey, don't do that, bad, you hate yourself, don't do that, yeah, hey, stop. It's kind of we can do better than that. We should, and I think we have to, because clearly it doesn't work that well.
Yeah.
In most cases.
I think I tried to be therapist for a while when I was coaching people, and then what I ended up coming to was just kind of brushing my hands off, and I still think it did the same thing. I would say, here's what I'm saying: it is getting in your way. If you believed
The mindset.
something, if you believed something else when you were up there doing that thing, it might have gone differently. Maybe in your favor, maybe not, but you would have been happier, and that's what's going to keep you climbing longer, and you're going to get stronger as a result.
You would have slipped off that crimp if you were like, this
Whatever
is the
it is.
best reality. This is the ideal time. How
Or
do you say it?
You're in the best possible timeline.
Yes.
Yeah, and even if something terrible is happening as you're climbing, it's like, well, I'm going to focus on what you can control, sort of thing. But it's a different direction. But yeah, I ended up coming to just saying I would look into that if I were you.
Yeah.
I would look into fixing that if I were you. If they would ask me for more, then I would give more. But I think that is
Hopefully
fair.
they'll go for it. Honestly, probably not in a lot of cases. But if they do, that's going to be a big, you know.
What it would do at minimum was just put them in a safer place for the rest of the time that we were working together. It'd be like, okay, this
And then it snowballs.
guy
from
knows
there.
what's going on.
It snowballs from there because it's like,
Mhm.
and I think,
Yeah.
I think the problem with a lot of the cliches that like, what did you just say? It was the like I was saying, but just don't do that when it comes to those negative and healthy things. Oh, you said something else. It
Give
was
a break,
like-
put it in a drawer.
no, something. It was like a fix that people advise. Like, just think positive, or oh yeah, every time you have a negative thought, you need to give yourself a positive thought. Like, if you can't always do that, especially, like, that's hard. So I think that fighting a little smarter and coming at it from the perspective of, like, you know, if you really are in a bad place and you're hating your dance a lot, it might not even be like physically, chemically in your brain possible to give yourself a positive thought for every negative thought.
Mm-hmm.
But for those 5 minutes of the week, you know,
5
turn
minutes
it
a
around.
week?
Turn it around.
5 minutes a
like,
week?
At all. Yeah,
I think
5
that's
minutes a
good.
week. 5 minutes a week.
Yeah, where I will not allow anything except for.
Yeah.
Like, these are the things I will allow myself to.
Not even, yeah, or like whatever works. Like, either it's like
Whatever
I'm not going
works.
to allow myself to have negative thoughts, or it's just we're going in guns blazing, 110% positivity, like this was a fresh baby in newcomer,
Mm.
and we're loving this dance.
Sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need that.
A lot of times.
A lot of times I need that. Yeah, the one little meme fad that I liked was like, they would say, "Oh, I'm so shitty at this thing," and then they would show like some baby picture of themselves.
Oh yeah. That happened for a second.
Yeah, it happened for a couple weeks, and I kind of like that one. I didn't see any dancing ones, which is unfortunate.
This is when I was bad at dancing. It's like an embryo. Like,
Yeah, Jordan. He's like,
I didn't have legs yet, so it's understandable. But,
yeah, it is under. But my stretch was amazing. Yeah,
That's true. That's true. You can't really even give that excuse. Like, if you're in utero with that umbilical cord, like, come on, you can get some elasticity.
I liked that one though, because when it's easy to get down on my dancing, but then I look back a year, I'm like, wow, like that is unbelievable. I'm not even the same person. It doesn't look like me anymore, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think, because sometimes you just gotta make it tangible, and that's a very tangible thing. If you look like an entirely different person, like that,
Have you ever seen our newcomer?
you definitely showed me. I haven't seen it in a while.
They're so adorable.
You're so adorable.
I think so. I think I do some adorable things.
It's like, so I recently heard that it's not true that elephants think we're cute, which was a little bit crushing to me, but we can believe that.
They don't think we're cute.
Yeah, like
Did
it's
they?
been a meme for quite a few years. Like, elephants think you're cute, so you can go about your day like with that joy. Because the hypothesis was that when elephants look at humans, the same part of their brain lights up as like in us when we look at puppies and kittens. Apparently, that was just an urban legend. It's not actually true, but that's the thought. That's the thought to have. Like, you are the elephant looking at you. Or like your dance is this tubby kitten. Like, you know. Like, she's not a very good cat, but we love her anyway. All right,
And
I'm
I
going to
think-
end this thing, and I'm going to take a